This episode is for my entrepreneurial girlies who want to effectively know how to sign clients and make a huge impact in the world, while obviously giving yourself the freedom and abundance that you deserve too. So many people I know go alcohol free and then get this burning yearning on their heart to help other people, to become a coach and help other people with their own transformations. I also know a lot of people who already have businesses and then go alcohol free and want to double down and really increase their ability to make impact. And obviously, getting paid to do work that you love is one of the most fulfilling feelings ever. And if you are new or aspiring or even in the intermediate stages of growing a coaching business, you might know that getting clients itself isn't as easy sometimes as it seems. That getting clients is something that you definitely have to be in the energy for, and you actually have to put your work out there, and you have to have these hard conversations where you invite people in to work with you. Maybe not a hard conversation, but you have to be brave enough to put yourself out there and actually do the things that are required. So I'm going to make it super easy for you to give you this list of 10 ways to easily sign clients so that when you're having a low month or you're having crickets or you're feeling like no one is paying attention to you or you're new and have no idea how to even sign your first client, you're going to be ready with a strategy and a plan of attack. Now, I have worked with so many people in my career. I have sold so many different offers. I am 6 years plus into my business. So let me tell you that I used to suck at this stuff. I used to be a beginner. I used to make a lot of mistakes. I didn't know what I was doing, and I wasn't confident in my ability to sign clients and sell offers and make money and make impact in people's lives. There was a time when that was all very new for me. So trust me, I know this episode is coming from a place of like, I've already made all the mistakes. I've already been in your shoes. I know what it's like. And then I'm now on the other side. I'm on the other side because I have worked with thousands of people now. I know how to sell offers. I know how to sign clients. And I also don't let a bad month or someone saying no mean anything about me. I just move on and look for the next person who's ready. So why don't we dive deep into if you are already a coach or if you are an aspiring coach and you want to learn how to effectively sign people to work with you to get the life-changing transformation that only you can offer. Get ready for these tips. So when we're thinking of the 10 ways to sign clients, I want to really give you some selling strategies in this episode. I don't want to just leave you with marketing strategies like post on social media and, get on a podcast or something like that, because then you might feel like that's all it takes, that you're just posting and posting and posting and people should just be reaching out to you because you're often missing something. I know people who are influencers and so they post all the time to social media, but they never sell anything. So they're always nurturing their audience, they're always giving value, they're always educating, but they never close the loop to actually helping someone intimately change their lives by actually making an offer. And so I really want to go deep in the strategies that actually work to sell someone a coaching package, whether it's one-on-one or group. I think more along the lines of one-on-one, but honestly, this stuff works for any offer that you have. And strategies that you can use to enable yourself not only to, fill your client roster, to feel super confident in yourself as a coach, but also to effectively, make a coaching hobby into your full-time job. Like, this is how I was able to go from making $7,000 a year in my coaching hobby to over 6 figures a year in a coaching full-time business/empire, right? So the first tip I have for you for selling and how to sign clients is you need to get into a selling energy. So I'm not even going to start with the first tactical strategy, because if you're not in a selling energy, no one's going to believe you. No one's going to buy from you. No one's going to feel convicted enough that they should work with you. What does this mean? When you come on super insecure and really unsure of yourself and just really, really nervous, and or you think somehow selling is bad, or that, offering a coaching package is, rude or manipulative or obtrusive or annoying, that will be felt in your energy. Like, you truly have to have the conviction that this is going to change someone's life. And if you don't have that conviction yet, look back at your transformation and ask yourself, what would you have paid? What would you have paid right now to ensure that you chose the route that you chose instead of going back into drinking or whatever your before was? Imagine if you could go back to the fork in your road where you had the most intense transformation of your entire life and you decided to go the other way, the negative way, the like stuck way, what would you pay to ensure that you didn't have to go that way? So if I think of everything that's come out of my decision to go alcohol free, the business, the book, the podcast, running a half marathon, getting the happiest person in my life, traveling around the world, working with thousands of people, I could have never imagined all this would have happened because I went alcohol free. And that was that one pivotal fork in the road for me. So imagine if someone was like, we're going to take all this away from you. You don't get to go alcohol free. You're going to choose choice B this time. And you're going to keep drinking in your cubicle and stay stuck in a middle management job for the rest of your life. What would I pay today to ensure that that doesn't happen? To ensure that I choose the right route, the fork in the road that led me here? A lot of money. Like a lot of money, right? Like probably if I really had to put a value to it, that's like $1 million of like, this is the route that's completely changed my life. Now, obviously, if you would have propositioned me to pay $1 million when I was first going on this journey, I wouldn't have understood the intangible values that it takes and what it would create in my life as a result of alcohol free. But this little exercise should just show you that it's so worth it. And even if you're not an alcohol-free coach, if you're a health or wellness coach, if you're a burnout coach, if you're a career coach, if you are a menopause coach, if you think of whatever your before and after is, the fork in the road that you took from your before where you were unhappy, unfulfilled, unfit, whatever the stuckness was to where you are today, it's the same analogy, right? Like how happy are you that you chose the route that you chose instead of staying stuck? Right? And you would probably pay a lot of money to ensure that you didn't remain in that position to stay stuck now that you know everything that you know. This is the level of conviction that you have to have. This is the level of full body knowing that your work is going to help other people. And even if you're someone who hasn't worked with very many clients, let's say you've not worked with any clients, sometimes it can be really hard to be confident like that because you don't have the evidence yet. You don't really have the evidence that this works and it's going to really help change someone's lives. But you have to then believe in the transformation itself. You have to. And so this is the energy you need to get into selling. You can't just like wake up on the wrong side of the bed, just put on whatever that day and feel like you're going to effectively sell. It is a state you need to get into. State is something that's so important in how you come across in your body, in your verbiage, like everything goes back to your state, your energy. And if you need to like put on your favorite song and dance for 3 minutes before you sell something, then do that, right? Like that's so important to get into the right state. Another thing about the energy of selling that you need to get into is stop thinking that you're annoying people or bothering people. You need to visualize a sea of so many women who are actually waiting for you. They're waiting for you. And guess what? They're not going to see you and find just your website. With you just put your website up, you're essentially hiding under a rock. No one in New York is going to find your website that you created in Nevada and this random coaching name that you created. Like a website itself, unless you're directing traffic to it, is not enough, right? You actually have to put yourself out there for the person who's been literally praying and wishing and hoping that they could find you to actually find you. So do you see how much more conviction, how much more confidence, how much more energy you can have around selling? This is the kind of energy we need to have, because if you believe at any point that selling is wrong, immoral, pushy, annoying, you're going to hold back. You're going to be like, well, I don't want to annoy people today, so I'm not really going to push this. I will work with clients sometimes and I will just notice that they don't sell very often, and I actually really notice this in clients I don't work with that I just see in the industry. It honestly feels like they're terrified of selling. And what they say to themselves as the excuse is that they don't want to bother or annoy people. But it's really that they're just scared of selling. They're scared of either the rejection or the embarrassment or having it flop, or just that they would push people away or something like that. When you get in your head of like, oh my God, is someone going to unsubscribe or unfollow me? Like it's just BS, because what happens is you're trying to quiet yourself down from the people who actually want to hear you and listen to you and get advice from you, so you could appease some random Joe Schmo that doesn't even matter in your life, right? This is the energy you need to get into. Okay, so that's like the first tip, and I know it's more energetic than it is strategic, so my second tip for you on how to sign clients is a little bit more strategic. So a lot of times if you have an evergreen offer, which means something that you're selling at any time, right? There's not like an open and closed date. Let's say for one-on-one coaching, for example, you could take a client in December, you could take a client in March, Oftentimes there's not very much urgency behind it, because if you're always available, someone's like, well, yeah, it sounds good to work with her, but I'm not ready right now. Or, I'm waiting for my tax return to come in, or like fill in the blank of whatever excuse someone would have. And so what we need to do sometimes is give people a taste of what it's like to actually work with us, and then create some urgency for them to follow through. And I think one of the best ways to do this in the online world, and who knows, this might change in a few years. It's changed a lot over the last few years that I've even been in business. But I think one of the best things that you could do is host a masterclass. You could call it a masterclass. You could call it also a challenge, and a challenge is a little different, so I'll explain the differences in just a moment. But in the old school days, it used to be called a webinar. Nowadays, almost everyone calls it a webinar because everyone kind of like understands what that is. But a masterclass is a chance for your audience to really get to know you and what you have to teach on, and to understand your offer in a much more articulated way than you just saying, join me or buy from me, like in a really quick Instagram caption. It actually gives someone the opportunity to know like the in-depth flavor of what it's like to work with you, and then what that offer and solution and transformation would look like in their lives, plus know the intimate details of the logistics about it, plus get an invitation to work with you. So for example, if you wanted to have a masterclass, I was actually helping a client with this, so I'll share her example. If you wanted to have a masterclass on helping someone ditch external validation, like you're talking to professional women, everyone's in their career just like trying to move up, and they've lost touch with themselves, they've lost their inner guidance, that's a really cool way to reach people who are already burnt out, that need your solution, that need your coaching, that's going to offer them that internal guidance. I've done masterclasses that are like, 4 ways to change your subconscious beliefs around alcohol. So people who are necessarily struggling with alcohol would be really interested in like, oh my gosh, there's something to do with my subconscious here. What am I going to learn? And then I teach them exactly what you're going to learn and how to change the subconscious beliefs. But the implementation of it takes longer, right? So that's then the invitation to work with you, to actually have someone helping you implement it and giving you the guidance step by step in a container like coaching. I often do masterclasses for my certification or for my Thought Leader Mastermind as well. Actually, I didn't do one for my Thought Leader Mastermind. Maybe we'll do one next time. But I often do it for my certification program to understand, like, how did I first make my 6 figures in this business? Or how did I become a highly profitable thought leader? And these are the kinds of things that an aspiring coach or a new coach would be, obviously really interested in learning, like the actual steps and the energetics of how to build a 6-figure career out of your passion. So that is a way that someone can get really, really intimate with you as well. And I know there's a lot of moving parts into hosting a masterclass. You obviously have to put a page up where you invite people to like put their email in if they're going to come to the masterclass. Then you have to email them and remind them to come. And then obviously you have to promote it to people. And then you have to prepare on the masterclass day itself. Like, what are you going to teach? How are you going to present the offer to work with you? What incentives are you going to offer? So there is more work involved. But oftentimes if someone's like, oh, I haven't signed any clients, and I'm like, have you ever launched or done a masterclass? Oftentimes the answer is no. And it's like, that's a huge missing ticket for you. Like most people aren't going to buy something from a stranger off the internet if they don't like, 1, if they're not obsessed with you already, or 2, if they don't have like a taste of what it's like to work with you. Now, I'm a consumer myself, so I can also look at my behavior and see what attracts me to work with certain people out there as well. And I have all these different kinds of needs, right? So yes, I'm a business owner who's looking for maybe the next level of business support to get me to the next level of my business. I'm also someone who's in the fertility world, right? Where I'm wanting to have a baby and I'm looking to all these different fertility experts to help me. So I've gone to their master classes, right? And I've hired naturopaths or coaches along the way because of their incredible programs. I'm also interested in like all these other esoteric things like your lymph system and spirituality. So I've definitely done master classes and then programs with other, more nuanced, more niched kind of topics like that. And obviously, because I'm in the alcohol-free space, I see a lot of master classes on what it looks like to make alcohol insignificant or to ditch it or the kind of life you can live without it, right? So there's all these kinds of different things. And you can also see like, what are you attracted to? What's like piquing your interest in a class? Like, what would you sign up for? And try to model that as much as possible. Like, try to have so much curiosity in the title itself so people really, really want to sign up. Now, the next thing you do after the masterclass is that you officially launch your offer. This is another problem I see. Sometimes coaches just think that other people are reading their minds, that, just saying like, DM me, I have one spot available for coaching isn't enough sometimes to activate someone, right? That when you actually have a launch, and a launch, by definition, is an open and close period where you are doing mass promotion to your offer. This means you're selling emails every day. Okay, maybe you can skip the weekend, but for the most part, you're sending an email every day. Now, I know a lot of new coaches will be so shocked that I'm recommending that like you should email more than once a week, right? But yes, every single day in a launch period, you should be emailing your audience, especially if you just did a masterclass and are trying to guide people to your offer. Give them an incentive to join. Use a lot of storytelling in the launch emails itself about why they should work with you, about what the transformation will give them case studies of what other people have gone through when they've worked with you. Give stories of your before and after. Give stories of your origin. Give stories from your life right now that apply to the same lessons that you would be teaching in your coaching. This forces you to articulate yourself in a totally new way and forces you to talk about your offer and your coaching so much more elegantly, because you have to talk about it literally every single day. And so even if you do this and you're like a brand new coach, and let's say you do this, the masterclass and a launch, and nobody buys, here's a secret: do it again. Seriously, do the same masterclass, maybe change up the title a little bit, or don't change the title. Seriously, no one's paying attention as much as you think. Do it again. Do it again the next month and try it again and keep refining and keep getting better at this. Like, I think it's like our egos get bruised really easily when we first start our business, and we just think like, oh, if the first thing didn't work out or the second thing didn't work out, it means no one wants it, or this doesn't work. BS. You'll only get better at marketing as if you actually keep practicing it over and over and over again. And sure, maybe the first time you do a launch like this, nobody will buy, but the second time, one person will, and the third time, 2 people will, and the 10th time, like 12 people will, right? You just have to keep doing it over and over again. And I see the top in the field. Let's say you have a masterclass that even no one shows up to. Someone at the top of their field would not, and trust me, that happens to even people at the top. They wouldn't be like, oh, no one came to the class, so I'm not even gonna send the replay out. This is embarrassing, right? They would show up as if there were 1,000 people there, and they would promote the hell out of the replay, and then they would probably do another masterclass a month later and just be just as excited and not even mention what happened like a month ago, right? Like, if you were a business, let's say that you are Nordstrom and you're having a sale, like Nordstrom's having a sale, right? I don't even know how often, if they even have sales, but let's say Nordstrom's having a sale and maybe their sale in March doesn't do very well. Do you think in April, when they're ready for their next sale, they're like, you know what, our sale in March didn't do really well, so sorry, but we're gonna do another one in April? Or do you think like Nordstrom's like, we're a business and we like give incentives for you to buy from us, come to this next sale? Like, they're not going to report back to you what happened in March, right? And I think because we have personal brands, it feels different. It feels more personal. So like, just know, just because something flops or doesn't go the way you wanted it to, one, that's happened to every great entrepreneur, and everyone you admire has had flop launches. Everybody, right? 2, just do it again. And then just do it again after that and again after that. You could seriously launch something once a month for the rest of the year. And if you aren't getting the clients that you want, if you aren't getting paid the way you want to, are you actually doing the things that you know to do or you know you could do, but you're just holding back, right? The next thing that I recommend is using the stories feature on Instagram. So this is the 4th way to sign clients. So those launch methods are definitely timely. Like, you're going to be doing it on heavy for like 2 weeks, and then you would like take it off and then be on again and off again, right? But your stories on Instagram are a place that you can literally sell every day. And actually, that's one of my tips coming up. But before I go there, Instagram has offered, and it wasn't that long ago, that you couldn't even put a link in an Instagram story. If you are using Instagram as one of your main tools for promoting your business, don't just share the breakfast you had that day. Do not just share your coffee cups and a photo of your dog. Obviously, every once in a while, you can add some of that lifestyle stuff to give yourself some color. But for the most part, you should be using your Instagram stories to sell. You should be selling your coaching offer. It doesn't matter if nobody picked it up yesterday. It doesn't matter if nobody picks it up tomorrow. Sell your coaching offer in your stories way more than you think, right? Way, way more than you think. Literally, sometimes, like, if you consider what consumer behavior looks like, I don't go on Instagram very often. I post a lot, so I go on to post, but I don't actually stay around and look at other people's like reels or posts, and I definitely don't look at stories that often. I usually maybe go in like once every week or 2 weeks or even 3 weeks and just kind of catch up real quick if I want to like do some research or just see what like trending audio is going on. So if you're there selling your coaching every day, but I only go on the app once every 2 weeks, I didn't see your story yesterday. I didn't see your story two days ago. I didn't see that you're selling your coaching a week ago. I wasn't on the app. I was busy. I have a life, right? Or maybe I did see one of your stories a week ago, but then like I got distracted because like I went out to dinner that night. Like this is normal human behavior, right? So it's usually not the first time someone sees something that they're gonna buy from you right away, right? So share it again and share it again and share it again. And so if I only check the app every so often, I'm probably only going to see a few of your actual posts or stories where you're sharing the coaching offer. Now, please don't make the mistake of just saying, work with me, work with me, work with me. Give people a reason to. Use storytelling even in your stories on Instagram to entice people, activate people to want to work with you. How you can do this is you could take your phone and do like a voice to camera video and actually like talk through like the benefits of working with you and like how amazing the transformation is. Or if you're more of a writer, which I am definitely a writer, like write out something and then copy and paste the verbiage into slides. So essentially think of your stories on Instagram as slides that people are sliding through, like a PowerPoint, that they're getting more and more evidence on why they should work with you. And use a lot of storytelling. Tell stories from your own life and your own transformations and your own before and afters to illustrate the points, right? So you really want to make sure that that's how you're selling, not just saying, I have a coaching spot available, DM me. Obviously, if you're super popular, just saying that might work, but usually we need to give people a reason, right? So I want to be seeing that. Like if you want to get clients, sell in your stories literally every single day or whenever you actually post on social media, like 3 or 4 times a week, whatever that looks like for you. But I would make it way more consistent and I would really, really commit myself to showing up that space. Because again, I might not check my Instagram app very often, or I might need to see your thing like 6 times before I actually make a decision. Because every time I see your thing, I have another life distraction or another decision comes up, right? No one is sitting there like obsessing over you, thinking about, oh my gosh, should I buy or not buy? They get distracted, right? So you need to be persistent with that. The 5th way to sign clients is to use the power of email. So I obviously love social media, and maybe the last tip, if you're not on Instagram, you could use that and apply that to like LinkedIn or Facebook or just any other platform. But email is king. Like no one can ever convince me otherwise. You don't own your social media, right? Like if Mark Zuckerberg wanted to pull the plug on Instagram or Facebook or anything that he owns, he could, and we would all lose our followers. You could get hacked. You could, something could happen, a bug could happen where you literally couldn't get on the app that day and you could lose it all. You don't own your followers, right? And if you did ever get hacked, for example, and lost your followers, you wouldn't have a way to find them ever again. I think it's such a good strategy to try to get as many people as possible to your email list. And you can get very, very creative with what incentives you do that. Or you could build your email list from a lot of different strategies, like having a freebie, getting on podcasts, getting featured in the media, maybe ads. I love a good ad strategy, okay, right? Because I'm not here just wishing and hoping that the algorithm's gonna pick me up one day. I like to make things happen much quicker than that. So when I talk about emails, I just think that they're king because A, you own them. Like you can actually download from your email service provider a list of people who are on your email list and save them on your computer. Like you own them, they're yours. It's an asset of your business. And oftentimes when businesses are selling like their business, their email list is considered an asset of their business, right? It's actually part of the value of their company. And 2, and maybe some Gen Z or millennial will correct me on this, but I still fundamentally believe that people check their email more than their social media. Like if you use email to like have personal correspondence with your parents or your water company or the place where you get your mortgage statements or your tax receipts or like the place where the important shit happens in your life, or if maybe it's a place where you also look at if you're making sales in your company or you have more business stuff coming into, people just check their emails more. I do. Maybe not everybody, right? But I do think fundamentally, like we use our email as a more important place for things to come in. And I know obviously there's people who have like 30,000 unread emails, and my heart goes out to you because I love having a nice, clean, organized inbox. but I check my email every day. I do not check my social media every day. Plus, most emails have a 20% open rate, whereas most posts on Instagram have a 2% view rate because of the algorithm not necessarily pushing them out. Again, some people might be totally different and are super glued to social media way more than their email, but most, I feel like, professionals know that if their boss or their uncle or their, tax receipts or whatever is coming in is gonna come in their email, they usually still check that as well, right? So one, obviously establish the importance of why we should build an email list and sell via our email list. But two, use emails regularly to promote your offer as well. Again, please don't send me a 3-sentence email that says, I have one spot available for coaching, buy now. You need to give me a reason. So you need to use storytelling and making points and illustrating the transformation, the case study, the A to B. Like, you need to share that. And if you're ever confused on how to do that, I would definitely recommend subscribing to a few email lists of coaches who sell often and saving their emails to a folder in your inbox that says like sales folder. So when you're ever struggling with like, what do I write? How do I get started with this email? You have some templates in there that you can already module. I definitely did this when I was first starting. I would save a few coaches' emails that I really liked how they told stories and how they sold. I love writing, so if you want to do this with my emails as well, please do. I sell quite often because I believe in my work and I believe in the transformation, and almost none of my emails are 3-sentence emails, right? I go deep, I go long. Like, I'm a writer at heart. I like to tell stories, and I actually find it much easier to tell stories through email than through social media because social media is so truncated. It's much shorter. So it's actually much easier for me to start with the blank canvas on my email and then right there. So again, this tip isn't just email your audience. Email your audience and share an offer. And if you're telling a story that is already going to prove a really cool point and make a transformation for someone, you could sell in every single email. You could, because if the first 2/3 of the email is all value and just the last third is you promoting the offer, you could sell in every email, and I don't think it would be too much. Permission from me granted that you could sell literally in every email. Again, if every email says buy now, buy now, buy now, buy now, I'm going to unsubscribe, you're being annoying. But if all your emails have story and illustrate points and give me ahas and breakthroughs, then I'm going to love them and I'm going to save them away into my sales folders, right? So use your emails and actually promote your offer regularly. Sometimes you need to start with a lower ticket offer. So this maybe doesn't always apply just to one-on-one coaching. Be creative, and maybe instead of a masterclass, you could swap that idea with a low ticket offer and sell that, a $22, $11 offer to get people in the door to understand what it's like to work with you, and then to upgrade into the more longer term, more transformative offer that you have. So be really creative with what kind of offers. You can use these strategies on almost anything you're selling, right? But obviously I'm kind of thinking more of the one-on-one coaching. Okay, number 6. I've kind of made this point already, but I want to make sure it stands alone. Sell every day. Sell every day, seriously. And I know if I start making caveats on saying well, no, just sell Mondays or Tuesdays, don't sell the rest of the week, you're going to give yourself permission to scale back and be like, oh, I sold last month, so I'm okay, right? No. You are not an advice columnist. You are not getting paid to just give people free advice. I know that giving free advice and nurturing is really important to building an audience and just building people, giving them advice, giving them value. But if you never sell, you're never going to give someone the actual transformation. Most people's lives aren't totally changed just because they read an email, right? They need to go into the container. There's power in the transaction and actually working with you. I've had people who put down their credit card to work with me on their alcohol-free journey, and the moment that they paid for the coaching, they didn't drink again because there was power in the transaction. They committed in a way that they weren't committing to before. Does that make sense? You could buy all the books and put them on your shelf, but what difference does it make if you don't actually implement it? And sometimes the transformation truly happens when someone commits, they put skin in the game, and they're ready to commit to work with you. So selling every day, I think, is something that you can practice because right now that's going to feel super uncomfortable, especially if you're newer and more of a beginner. And again, I'm not saying just write these emails or these posts or these social media stories that say, buy now, join me. Like, use storytelling so that really the relevant points are already being made in an in-depth post or an in-depth story or an in-depth email. But the energy of selling every day also doesn't just have to apply to a one-on-one coaching offer. It could be to anything. You could sell things that are free, for example. So let's say that you have a new podcast episode that comes out, or you were just featured on a podcast. You could sell that, right? Because you don't just say, hey, I was on a podcast, go listen. That's not very enticing. That's not very activating. You need to give people a reason. So if you were going to invite someone to go listen to you on a podcast with another person, what reason would that be? You know, maybe you say that this was the most impactful conversation and you finally shared this vulnerable thing you've never shared, and you gave the XYZ method to do, XYZ, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, damn, I need to go listen to this episode. So do you see there how you could sell even free things, but you have to actually sell it? Like, you have to entice someone to actually move and actually go forward to it. So when I say sell every day, it doesn't have to be a paid offer. Maybe half of the selling every day is a paid offer, and the other half are free things that you have available that you want to promote or share. But get in the energy and the practice of moving people every day, of telling people to go do something. Because then they're getting trained, your audience is getting trained that, like, when you have something to offer, they move, right? They don't just sit back and say, like, oh, this lady, I don't know, she's talking again, right? Like, they're actually trained to move. And I think selling every day is also, too, really impactful to just think, like, if you're a new or intermediate coach and you're finding that you're not signing as many clients as you want to and you're not making as many sales as you want to, have you really tried everything? And I love the saying, I'm sure I've said on this podcast before, but like, I love the saying by Tony Robbins where he's talking to someone and someone's like, I've tried everything and nothing works. And Tony's like, yeah, well, what did you try? And then the person's like, well, this thing, and then this thing, and then this thing. And he's like, you've tried 3 things? That's it? Like, and you're telling me you've tried everything, right? Of course that isn't true. And so if you feel like you're in a place where you could use more clients, more income coming in, there's probably a lot of different strategies that you haven't tried, and you're probably not getting in the energetic state of selling as often as you should be. Because you could be getting into that state every working day at the very least, right? If you work Monday through Friday on your coaching business, at the very least, you should be getting into the state, the selling energy, and then promoting something every single day. And so I have this little analogy. I think I made it up because I haven't heard anyone else say it, but imagine if you have like kids or a puppy or a dog or a cat. Imagine that I came and I kidnapped your loved one. I kidnapped them and I said, you're not getting them back and their life is at stake unless you sign a client. Would you know what to do? Would you do stuff that you're not already doing today? And if that's the case, if there is like, of course, Carolina, I would do anything to get my dog back. If that's the case, that there's stuff that you would do that you're not doing today, why aren't you doing it then today? Are you scared of selling? Are you scared of the rejection? Are you scared of flopping or embarrassing yourself? Like, why aren't you doing the things that you know you could do in this little analogy of your loved one being kidnapped? Number 7, how to sign clients is you want to start to become really effective at handling objections. So you're going to get objections from people who are, want to work with you. And this is the hardest thing. When someone really wants to work with you, you can tell how much their intuition is driving them to work with you, but they use some logical excuse to talk themselves out of it. That's what a true objection is. I'm not talking about someone who doesn't want to work with you. You don't want to convince people who don't want to work with you. Like, let them go. You don't also want to convince someone who decided to go to a different program. Like, they shopped around and they decided the other program's better. That's fine. Actually, we should always celebrate that because it means that they're getting their life changed no matter what, right? I'm talking about the people who showed a real big interest in you already and working with you, and then use some little logical excuse as to why they can't do it. And what often happens is that the logical excuse surrounds either time or money. And the thing is that time and money are often just surface level excuses that people use for the deeper fear underneath. The deeper fear underneath is, I don't think this is actually going to work out. I don't think I'm going to make the changes that I'm supposed to make in my life. I am scared of being overwhelmed. So it's not that they don't have time. They're scared of being overwhelmed. That's different. Anything new in our lives is going to feel overwhelming. It doesn't mean that the new thing we don't have time for. It just means that because something's new for us, it takes up more space in our brains and we feel like we need more of our brain power to be able to tackle it, right? But when you actually like already crossed that mountain, you always know, like, actually that didn't take that much time. Like, it wasn't really that big of a deal. I was just scared because it was new, right? So if you are dealing with someone who wants to work with you, but they start to pull back because of these objections, you want to learn how to handle them. So the time one comes up a lot, right? Everyone's really busy, right? As the saying goes, like, even Beyonce has 24 hours in a day, right? We all have the same time. And when you think of time, like, we all have decisions on how we commit ourselves. So everybody should be, as an adult, in control of their own time. And they should be able to make decisions about what is a priority for them and what isn't. If someone doesn't have any time, and that's truly, truly true for them, it usually means that they overcommitted themselves to things that might not be as a big of priority to them and are saying now no to something that is a big priority to them, right? Maybe someone isn't dealing with a lack of time, but they're using time as an excuse because they're actually scared of the overwhelm of doing something new. That's also totally different than actually not having time. A lot of people will also say, I don't have time now, I'll have time later, right? They put it off. Let's say someone wants to go alcohol free and they're like, you know what, I'm really busy right now, I have a vacation coming up, I'll do this next year. You and I know, like, you just want to shake them and be like, this is the best thing that's ever going to happen. This is going to, like, relieve all your stress and make you have more time. Like, why are you putting it off? You know what I mean? Obviously, we want to be gentle and, meet people where they're at, and you don't have to try to over-convince someone to work with you, but you definitely want to know what's going on when objections come up so that you can handle them in the most loving, affecting way possible. Same with money, right? So, like, for example, I pay for a lot of stuff, and I have in my past, that wasn't really that important to me. I've paid for so many like cheap fast fashion clothes. I've paid for so many like restaurants out. I've paid for so many drinks at bars. I've definitely paid for just like different upgrades that my house didn't really need and things that are just like keeping up with the Joneses, right? When I think of all the things that I've paid for that didn't really move the needle for me to have a happier, more fulfilled life, like we all have a lot of stuff there. And so when someone really wants something that's going to totally change their life forever, and they can't imagine like not spending that money on restaurants instead of investing into this transformation, it's oftentimes not a question of the money not being there, but just like not really making this thing the number one priority in their life. You know what I mean? Like when at first I got into the fertility world, I was really, really used to investing in my business. So I would invest in business coaches, I would invest in business masterminds, programs all the time, right? I really understood that. Like at first I didn't when I started my business, but I've been around long enough to know that that is the fastest way to make more money. That's all. So when I got into the fertility world, I wasn't quite used to it yet. I was like, other people didn't have to pay to get pregnant, so why should I? Like that was my mindset, and it was such a bad mindset to have. So I learned, wait a minute, Carolina, if you really want to have a baby, if you really want to make this dream happen in your life, you put your money where your mouth is, right? And I started investing in my fertility as well, and we have now spent over a lot of money doing various things that are healing us at a root level, like the actual root level, and obviously this kind of stuff takes time. We've paid like over $900 a month just on supplements. We bought a sauna. We're working with a naturopath that costs a pretty penny. We've done a few procedures that cost a pretty penny. Like all this stuff was foreign to me, but if I had to really ask myself, is it truly a priority for me to have a baby? And if it is, I can take the money out of things that are way less important and actually focus money here, right? Like there's stupid stuff we pay for all the time that we don't actually need, right? And if truly you're speaking to someone who really doesn't have the funds, like truly is living below the poverty level, then offer them something for free. Offer them like some pro bono work. Like you can have nuance and discretion here, right? I'm not talking about every person on the planet, but 9 times out of 10, that's not who you're going to be talking to. 9 times out of 10, especially if you're working on alcohol, these people can afford 30-bottle wines every single day, right? So it's just a matter of switching how we see investments into ourselves and seeing the ROI. So understanding objections and where they come from is really key, and also understand them in yourself, because this will make you a better coach and a better consumer. Okay, number 8 on how to sign clients is, especially if you're newer into your coaching business and you're not too busy, offer free sessions. Like most people just haven't had a taste of what it's like to work with you or have never worked with a coach before. Give people the experience already. And you could do this by offering either like if you have a social media or an email list, you can tell them that you have 2 free sessions that you're giving away, and the first people who chime in get them. So that could be a fun way that you do it. Or you could even call it something. Now, I think this is really enticing. I think the word discovery call needs to be retired. It's like everybody knows what that is. It doesn't sound very enticing. But if you name your session like a free human design session, or a free Instagram audit, or a free NLP session, or a free hypnosis session, or a free subconscious reprogramming session, now all of a sudden I'm intrigued, right? Now I'm intrigued. So you could be offering people free sessions that you meet either in the DMs or in your comments, or people just liking your post. Go find the last 7 people who liked your post and offer them a free session and call it something clever. I bet you'll get a lot of people on a call, and then once you have the free session with them, you can invite them into working with you further. And please do that last part, because one time I worked with a shaman, and she was really cool. She like learned with like the shamans of the Incas and stuff. Like, she was really cool, but like, you could tell business-wise, she was still like, she was more spiritual than she was business savvy. And I worked with her, and she was amazing. She like blew my mind. She like changed something in my mind forever about how I see this like person in my life. And then after our session, she didn't invite me to work with her. She didn't like say, here's like another way to buy another package or to work with me. And I was just kind of like, I guess she doesn't want to work with me. Like, instead of like, maybe she was thinking like, oh, I don't want to be pushy and she knows where to find me. I was thinking the opposite. I was thinking like, why doesn't this shaman want to work with me more? Why didn't she offer me like more coaching? I don't get it, right? So always make sure you make the offer and invite someone into a further package with you if you give them a free session or a free audit or whatever you call it, right? You could even do, if you're like into the wellness or the non-tox kind of lifestyle, you could give someone a free lifestyle health and lifestyle audit, where you ask them a bunch of questions and you come up like with a personalized plan. And then you actually tell them that you'll help them implement it with your coaching, right? So this is a really cool one. And honestly, if you're like feeling like you're not signing clients, and even if you're more established, even if you're in a few years into your business, you're never too advanced to do this strategy. Trust me, right? So this is always an opportunity. And even if you're trying to fill like a group program, you could do this in a more mini way and then invite them into your group program. Number 9, referrals, affiliates, and the friends and family strategy. So what you could do here is referrals. If you work with people, give them an incentive to name drop you to their friends, family, or other people. Give some kind of like structure or program behind it. Maybe they get like $100 gift card or something like that. Like, think about it strategically. Why would someone recommend you to another person? Obviously, there's just the goodwill, like they just want to spread the word, but most people are busy. They have their own lives. Give them an actual incentive to make a referral for you. The same thing with affiliating. So let's say that you're an alcohol-free coach, and there down the street, there's a wellness clinic for people who want to lose weight. The wellness clinic really helps them get fit and eat the proper nutrition and track their macros or whatever. But like so many times, 5 out of 10 times, they're noticing that their clients are not budging because they're drinking. So what if you had a conversation with the wellness clinic owner and said, hey, I would love to partner. If you find someone who isn't making very much progress in your programs because of alcohol, and obviously most people do not know how to help someone change their relationship with alcohol. Most therapists, most doctors, most nutritionists, like most wellness practitioners have no idea how to help someone drink less or not at all. If you're trained as an alcohol-free coach and you know really the power of the subconscious mind with that, you do, right? So be brave enough to make these partnerships perhaps and these affiliate strategies where you could tell someone, if we partner and you refer the people to me, I'll give you like $1,000 or $500 or whatever makes sense for you with the coaching package. Make as many of these as you can, these partnerships. Think of everyone as an opportunity around you, right? When you go to like a conference or you meet people in different industries, think of like, is there any way we could partner together? Maybe there is a way. And then the other strategy that goes along with this is the friends and family strategy. Now, this is usually for newer coaches. If you haven't used your Facebook, yes, old school Facebook, or your LinkedIn to share that you are a coach and that you're accepting clients and that you're, looking for referrals, you're not putting it out there enough to like get the people who are already in your network. And there is this theory that I share with my clients. I don't think I have time to share it right now on this podcast. Maybe I'll share another episode of how people pay and find coaches. It's really different from any other brand that we search for. So this strategy can really help you be the one person that someone knows that helps with the particular thing that they need help with if you're willing to use it. Number 10, the last strategy on how to sign clients is go to live events. So I think there's nothing that replicates your energy the way that in person does, right? I didn't tell you in this podcast episode to post a ton on Instagram and to, get on a ton of podcasts and to build your email list. Well, I kind of did, but a lot of the strategies I want to talk about is how do you actually sell, not how do you just market. How do you actually sell, not how do you just grow your audience, right? So I could do a whole other episode on how to just grow your audience, but I want to make sure that you're getting to like the final stages of actually selling. So when you go to a live event, your energy, your ethos, your like body language, like all of that is captured in such a different way than just online. And when you meet people and you tell them what you do, like you have no idea what kind of connections that can form and who might be looking for you. Literally, who might be looking for you. So by going to live events, not only does it force you to practice your like elevator pitch and actually practice who you are, what you do. You have no idea what collaborations could come of it from other people who could refer or affiliate. You have no idea what like podcast like episodes you might be invited to speak on or stages you might be invited to speak on or even what friends might come out of it. And you have no idea what potential clients might be at that event itself. This could be like local networking groups, like maybe there's like a women in leadership group or women in health, or there's just so many different like little events like that, but also big conferences really help. And I'm going to be going to a really big conference. It's the top female entrepreneurship conference literally in the world. Like it is so amazing. I'm going to be going in November. And if you want to come along with me and go out to dinner with me and shoot content with me and just have an incredible table all together, DM me the word conference on Instagram and I'm going to get you a ticket. Okay. And we can like hang out in real life and do our businesses together because it's so much fun. That is such a good way to actually meet people and spread the word about your business. And then have a strategy for how you're actually going to sell people into your coaching offer. So if you meet a potential client, let's say at an event, follow up with them when you get home. And again, you don't have to just be like, buy now, join me, buy now. Like that's not what I mean by selling. Ask them, oh, like you said you were going on a boating trip with your husband. How did that go? Right? Like keep up with them. Imagine it's the 80s. And you and I like network together. Like I would ask you how things are going in your life. Oh, your son went off to college. How is that going? Like be a normal, caring human and build a relationship with them. Now, I didn't make it a separate number because then we would have like number 11, but building relationships, I think we need to just add it in as number 11. We're going to screw up the episode title, but it's okay. The 11th way to sign clients is build relationships with people in all the different ways that you meet them. Maybe you meet a few people at your masterclass and you actually invite them into your DMs. Maybe you notice the same people are liking your posts. Maybe you notice that you meet someone at an event or that you go on a podcast and a few people reach out to you after that or something. Maybe in your emails you notice that like one person writes back just once. Anytime someone has any way of interacting with you, build a relationship with them. Talk to them normally. Don't just say, bye now, join me. Actually build a relationship with them, ask them questions, ask them about their goals, ask them about their vision. And then if you know that their goals align with exactly what you offer in your coaching container, invite them into that. Offer them a free strategy session with you, whatever you're going to call that, the clever name that you're going to come up with, a health and wellness audit, whatever, and take it from there and then invite them further into coaching. So I think that's a last one that's really, really good to close with. I hope this germinated a lot of different ideas for you. I hope you will forever remember me for kidnapping your loved one unless you sign a client, and that if that were to really happen to you, you would know what to do and you would move. You would move fast and you would move so much differently than how you are maybe trying to sell today, because it's like life or death at that point, right? And I think it's important that we all have so much more power than we think to make real money, to make an impact in the world, and to grow our businesses. And when we get stuck thinking like the clients aren't there, the money's not coming, I don't know what to do, we just feel powerless. So snap back into it and use this episode as some incredible ideas on how to sign clients. If you are super new and you have like all of the passion on wanting to help people but feel like you need more training, I definitely recommend you join our Empowered AF Coach Certification Program, because we train you in depth in the advanced subconscious arts. Not only how to help someone lose their desire to drink, how to change any subconscious block, but also how to find deeper purpose in their lives. In addition to all of the 5 certifications that you get in the program, I also train you in everything that it took for me to get to 6 figures in my business. So all of the selling strategy we just talked about, I had like a minute or two to talk about each one. We go so into depth in each one. I give you templates on how to follow each one. I give you the whole game plan in the actual certification, because half of the program is actually training you on how to lay the foundations of a 6-figure business. This is the last week, I believe, that we are in enrollment. This is the last week that you can submit an application, and then we start the following week on April 2nd. So if this is something that's interesting you and you really want to learn the strategies on not only becoming a super convicted, competent coach, but also how to sell and how to get clients and how to actually get paid real money doing what you love, I highly recommend you submit an application and book an interview with me. We'll talk, and then if you're a good fit for the program, I will invite you in and tell you a little bit about what that looks like. And then I'll be celebrating when you join, because this is going to be such a life-changing decision for you to truly take a business idea and a dream and something that's maybe you've been kicking down the can and just like, you know, you set up an Instagram, but then you never did anything, or whatever stage you're at. Like, the transaction's powerful, because this is also what's going to get you to commit to turning your coaching hobby into an actual full-fledged business, right? And I would love to be your mentor for the next 10 months and support you in growing a profitable coaching business. Like, the 5X certification program, the longer we go, it's incredible to see. Like, this is where 6-figure entrepreneurs are born. This is where the next alcohol-free leaders are born. This is where wellness and burnout coaches and so many coaches who want to add so much more depth to their coaching with the alcohol-free lens, this is where like powerhouses are born. And the collaborations and the podcasts and the Instagram lives and the friendships, like, it's such a fertile territory. You don't find alcohol-free entrepreneurs anywhere else on the internet in such a high vibe place like this, of people who are actually serious and taking their transformation and turning it into a profitable business that actually makes an impact and helps other people. Now, I know that signing clients often is a result of wanting to make money and wanting to make profit and wanting to, you know, have a real business, obviously, but never forget that you're not just here to make money. Obviously, that's amazing, and I'm rooting for you on that. If you don't sell, you're not going to be able to help the person. There's literally someone waiting for you, praying for you on the other side of the screen, who just hasn't met you yet or heard of you yet, because you're playing small in your marketing and your sales. This is about the lives you can forever change. Forever change. Who are you not to step up to that plate? When you've been given such a big vision, when you've been given this transformation, it is your duty, it is your legacy to help as many people as you can. And yes, marketing and selling is the language that we do that in. That is the game that we play. Because the impact, the outcome is so much more important. So much more important. Like, imagine if someone didn't sell to me and I was still stuck in a cubicle right now, stuck drinking every weekend, not feeling any sense of self-love or self-esteem or whatnot. Thank God. Thank God someone sold to me. All right, beautiful. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.